Welcome to the Referrals Podcast, the show designed to help everyone from the solopreneur to the Fortune 500 company win the referral game. If you want to build a company with an army of ambassadors and raving fans who speak highly of you and refer you willingly, you are in the right place. And now, here is your host, Michael J. Maher.
So, welcome back, everybody, to Referrals Podcast. Wow, I have to tell you, you're in for a real treat today. We're going to talk to Jonathan and Rachel about their business and what they've done to become so dang referable and get so many referrals. And I know you're going to love their story. Before I jump into introducing them and bring them on, first of all, I have to apologize a little bit about my voice. I just spoke at Referral Mastery Summit not too long ago. We had a bunch of crazies, hundreds of crazies in the audience, and I gave them all I got, and that included my voice. So I have been fighting a sinus infection and a little bit of the voice. Luckily, that's why we have a conversation. We're going to let Jonathan and Rachel talk most of the time. And isn't that how we do it in the 7L system, right? The interviewer talks about 20% of the time, and then the person we're meeting with talks about 80% of the time. But we almost canceled. And I want you to know that I hope that this is an example of you just got to keep going. When you get a sinus infection or you lose your voice, a lot of times it's a little bit of a success suicide thing popping up and preventing you from moving on. And I will tell you, you just got to go through those moments. Now, if I didn't have a voice at all, I wouldn't be on here. And if you're really sick, then that's a sign that you really need to take it easy. But the bottom line is that, hey, listen, the show must go on. We need to go through these issues when we have them. And some of you might be feeling sick. You might be feeling not up to par. You might be feeling low on energy. But the bottom line is, you know what? Get up and do what you can. Just keep moving the rock forward a little bit. And in the end, the rock is forward a little bit, which could be the opening of a huge door. So today is Referrals Podcast. We are very excited to welcome two of our favorite people, and they're going to talk about podcasts on this, but their real game is real estate. And so Jonathan Tomko and Rachel Alley, welcome to Referrals Podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. My pleasure. And so, Jonathan, tell us a little bit about where you're from and how you got started in real estate.
Sure. So I grew up in northeastern Ohio in a city called Warren, Youngstown out there, about an hour from Cleveland, hour from Pittsburgh. And I knew that I always wanted to do real estate in some way because of a lot of the power of influence that you have in that position. Yeah. When I was in college, my roommate, his father owned our townhouse and he was a longtime realtor, 30 plus years, even to this day. My roommate now is the top producer in his office up there in Akron, Ohio. Wow. And so I did a lot of college projects through that. I just didn't want to live in the town, the city that I went to college in. And so being young, I kind of bounced around, and I knew in my head and in my heart that if you wanted to grow a successful real estate business, that's vertical growth. So you really have to be somewhere that you love. And so I didn't find that until I moved to Columbus, Ohio. And when I found a city that was, almost 3 hours of a drive to my family back up in northeastern Ohio, I didn't have to get on a plane, didn't have to spend a whole day traveling. I love football. I love the Buckeyes. I like Christmas. I love the change of the seasons. And I knew that I could build a bigger and better career than I could probably chase. So I went and got a real estate license, and Columbus economy wasn't going to slow down in my lifetime. So I knew that I was in the right place. So
Columbus, Ohio now. And you were in Youngstown before?
Correct.
Was it home of Youngstown State University?
Yes, it was.
Like the winningest FCS program of all time or something like that? Talk about liking football. Now, Did you go to school there?
No, I graduated from Kent State. I grew up in the Warren, Youngstown area. My mom went to high school in Youngstown, my father in Warren. So we have all of my roots were up in there.
And so 3 hours away, 3.5 hours away is Columbus, Ohio. So it's like, it's far enough, but it's also close enough, if you know what I mean, right? When we're talking about family, it's like there's a good solid distance there.
Yeah, if I lived too close, I'd go to my mom's house for everything, right?
That's
so
right.
Like, I have to create that separation because
you can't just go every laundry day.
No,
like you did in college. Mom, I've got laundry,
My mom's a little 100% Italian lady, so she cooks, she cleans everything. She sends me away with like a cooler and a freezer full of food. So you're right. I mean, I had to create my own, and if I was too close, I'd be in trouble.
Yeah, so a little ball of energy for a mom. That's what you have, right? Yeah.
Yeah. She outmoms the majority of moms, right?
And so that instantly makes me get a whole new respect for Rachel. Because if that's your mom, I know what Rachel has to be happy with mom-in-law. So I love Rachel. How did you get into real estate?
Okay, so I am a little bit opposite of Jonathan. I grew up in a small town. I graduated with like 46 kids, one stoplight rural town, outside of Columbus, about 30, 45 minutes, little farm town, USA. So I actually didn't start a career in real estate right away. I studied healthcare and pharmaceutical business, was traveling to different client sites, doing consulting work as my first career. And then I realized that I can't build a life when I'm on the road.
Yeah.
And so my whole family's around here. I'm very, very close with my family. I'm the oldest of 4 kids, so my siblings are my best friends. So I wanted to put down roots and build a family in a city that I loved. And I've been in the vicinity my whole life, and real estate seemed like a really great way to be able to build a business and be a part of a community that I lived in.
Love it.
Yeah.
And so how long have you been doing real estate in Columbus, Ohio?
So we have been licensed since 2015.
2015. You guys got licensed at the same time?
Yes.
So 2015. So started off, and they do have different names, Jonathan Tomko and Rachel Alley, but they are married. So this is spouses selling houses, right? So got to love that. And I'm sure we could talk ad nauseum about the challenges of that. I have been through that as well. Worked with my wife for many, many years, continue to this day. And so were you married in 2015?
So we actually met in real estate licensing class.
No way.
I know.
Wow.
Everybody gets a kick out of that. So
that is awesome. That's like the class of a lifetime, like the lunch of a lifetime in 7L. That's like that real estate, like that is the real estate class of a lifetime. I can't compete with that. Like not even event mastery class can convert. Listen, you will meet the love of your life in this class. I cannot guarantee things like that. So how cool is that? So you got licensed together. Did you work together immediately or license apart?
No. So our first year we actually worked separately, doing different, just following different avenues. I had joined a team that was successful in my market center, and I thought that was the best way for me to get acclimated, learn the business, all of those things. Jonathan went more the independent route, was kind of a test case for an expansion team out of Cleveland. Just a couple little odds and ends. It wasn't until we got engaged that we decided to align in business.
Was that 2016 that you got engaged? And then married in 2016 or 2017?
What year was that?
17 February. So we spent our anniversary at the every year at the annual convention in February.
I love it. And so this will be 3 years, yeah?
2. So we got married in 2018.
Oh, 2018. I'm sorry. Okay, so 2017 was the engagement. 2018 was the wedding. And wow, you're newlyweds. Congratulations. Yeah. That's I don't know when that newlywed thing wears off. Like, so it's like happy marriage, and that's awesome. So any children?
Just fur babies.
Yeah, amen to that. So let me ask you a quick question. So this is a little tougher than the ones I just asked you. So out of the following 4 options, I'm going to ask you, and you only get to choose one out of the 4, right? So out of the following 4 options, how would your best friend, significant other, or your spouse best describe you? And would they describe you as 1, straight to the point, 2, social and outgoing, 3, steady and dependable, or are you 4, cautious and perfectly accurate? So do I need to repeat the options? Okay. So Jonathan, how would your best friend, significant other, or spouse best describe you? Do you think you're a 1, 2, 3, or 4?
1.
Yeah, so 1. And then Rachel, how about you?
Ooh, it's like a tie. Probably a 4.
Okay. And Rachel, would you agree that he's a 1 straight to the point would be the number 1 out of those 4?
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you had to choose a number 2 for him, which is social and outgoing, steady and dependable, or cautious and perfectly accurate, would the second one be a 2, 3, or 4?
2.
So 2, very quickly on that. So straight to the point, social and outgoing. And then, so number 4, Jonathan, do you agree that she's a number 4? Cautious and perfectly accurate would be number 1. And so what would you say would be her number 2? Would it be straight to the point, which is a 1, social and outgoing, which is a 2, or steady and dependable?
Naturally, I think 3.
Yeah. So steady and dependable. So if we do the math there, you're the 1 and 2, and she's the 3 and 4, and you complete me. You complete each other. They say opposites attract. Well, guess what? Opposites attract. And why do we do that? Survival. But I'm not going to go into all of the different powers of the magic question that I just asked. I honestly was curious about the 2 of you because I saw some signs of that and some overlap, which is really cool. You guys really absorb each other's weaknesses and power each other's strengths up. And I saw that in a very short period of time.
Yeah.
So I think the next thing is how'd you find out did you build a referral-based business, and were you kind of working by referrals, right from the beginning, or how did you get started?
Want to leave it that?
Sure. So database was maybe the largest focus. In my history, I did financial services and insurance for about 5 years. And then I did a stint in healthcare finance.
Yeah.
And so what I learned is a lot of hustle, a lot of grit. And then in the corporate world, I learned a little bit of business etiquette in regard to sources and how to create a network.
Yeah.
And coming up into real estate, I had experiences that translated well. And so knowing that I wanted to grow an independent business, so I couldn't be relying on a lead source or purchasing leads or something that was so volatile like that. I put the emphasis and the onus on me developing the skills.
That's right.
And in moving through the business that way, being resourceful. Being resourceful led to referrals. And then surely being new and being a student, I hit the right podcast that connected to me, and I kind of took those concepts and ran with them.
Yeah, so hold that thought. So Rachel, same thing with you as far as getting started?
Yeah, so very much the same. We always had the vision of building an organic-based business because that to us is what is the strongest foundation. Mm-hmm. And the best way to do that is to build through relationships. So we always say that we're in the relationship business till it becomes a real estate conversation. Yeah. So, we wanted to make sure that we were adding value to our people. We wanted to make sure that we were building an insulated foundation of a business so that we could continue to stack that up and grow and build organically without relying on outside sources or paying for leads or different things like that.
100%. That's the power of the Referrals Podcast and the referral game and the repeat and referral stuff that we teach is because, if you're reliant on another lead source, then guess what? They can raise the fees. They can lower your percentage. They can charge you more. They can move. They can make you jump through all these different types of hoops. And when you control your own destiny, you are the lead generator, the rainmaker, then you can move. You can go anywhere and still generate the leads and have a control over your own success, which you both have embraced. And then, so you were doing this, you were doing pretty well, and then Jonathan, I understand that you heard a podcast, and this is kind of the catalytic moment, like a catalyst in your growth as a professional and from a personal level, right? So tell us kind of how that took place.
Sure. So, given our backgrounds, Rachel ended up leaving her position and I stayed in Miami corporate America. And so even though I was licensed, I didn't go into production until about 8 months after. She started in real estate before I did, and I kept, a position. So I used to listen and read all day long. And then I stumbled upon Super Agents Live and the podcast with yours truly, Michael Maher, about an attraction-based business.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, what I honestly felt was, this guy gets it. This guy gets me. I felt like you were talking directly to me. Like, this is, if I was going to build a business and I could do it by my own design, that is how I wanted to do it. And
you are talking to me directly right now, just so you know that. So
with that,
yeah, I mean, it was like you were talking to me directly. Well, who knew that it was actually going to lead to you talking to me directly right now, which is happening right now.
Yeah.
On a podcast, and you were listening to a podcast. Toby Salgado has Super Agents Live. It's the only podcast I've done with him, and would love to get back on and do that again down the road. But we talked about like attraction-based and not even chasing. There are chase-based businesses that are referral-based that you can chase, but I choose to not chase. I choose to attract and invite people. And I love that. So from that podcast, like what happened next? What'd you do after you heard the podcast? And I don't know this story. So everybody, I want people to know that there's no lead in here. This is me in genuine curiosity. Like, all right, what has happened since? You know, when was that? When was that? When did you hear that podcast?
We were still in our little attic apartment. So we were newly licensed. We weren't even a team yet. This had to be 2016. Yeah. So we're talking just about 3 years ago. Yeah. And so what happened next? What'd you do next? So I just took tons of notes on it, and I started thinking through how I could apply it. And so many things come to mind, like the begin with the end in mind, right? What do you want it to look like? Yeah. Referral conversations, finding people that you can have those conversations with. Not, chasing people. How do you feel at the end of a fight, right? Like so many things. And by the way, I haven't listened to this like in preparation. I'm regurgitating a lot because we tell people in interviews to listen to, we have notes, our agents, we come back to it as a reference quite a bit. How Oprah sells her books. I use that line all the time. The power of influence, even the reciprocation, right? When you go to somebody who's an influencer and they can reciprocate much larger and much faster, right? That helps you when you're staring, at the mountain looking up at how I'm going to get there. Yeah. And so we did a lot of sourcing, a lot of mission and relationship over transaction and paycheck, if you would. Yeah. So one of the things that I really need to reinforce here that we don't talk about a whole lot on Referrals Podcast is and I want people to take this the right way, is that many business plans, many marketing approaches, many sales approaches are essentially built on preying on the weak. I don't want to get too far into that, but it's literally you call somebody until you find somebody weaker than you, and then you corner and talk them into doing whatever you want them to do. And you call through a bunch of strong people that hang up on you until you get to the one that is weaker than you. And then look at the Wolf on Wall Street. That's the greatest example ever. All these people hung up, and then he'd find one, right? And he's there flipping them off, and he's like, humping the phone, and he's like all that. And that's been the way, unfortunately, for a long time. And what you've decided to do, you are like it incarnate. You are this business model is you have decided to literally not prey on the weak, but partner with the strong. You're partnering with the strong. You're partnering with the influential. And the problem with preying on the weak is if a weak person refers somebody, that somebody doesn't do anything. They don't work with the person they referred because they discount the referral because of the source. But on partnering with the strong, when you partner with the strong, what happens is the strong refers you, they work with you. No questions asked. You have now won the war without even having to fight. You win because of the referral from somebody strong. The problem with working with a strong is you got to get your butt strong. You got to become better. You got to become a better person. You got to become stronger to partner with the strong, because the strong don't partner with the weak. They partner with the strong. So can you, and that was kind of
offshoot tirade, but it's one of those where, like, have you seen, or what's an example of where maybe you had to step up your strength, if that's a question, because you were networking with these influencers and these really strong people? You know, have you noticed anything? Was there an instance where it's like, I've seen this happen?
I can give you a cool example, but it's from another real estate team, actually.
That's okay. As long as is it a good story? Yeah. So yeah, go ahead. Just don't name names if there's a problem, right?
No, it's just a matter of like, reaching for those mega influencers and having the courage or the confidence to put yourself out there and do it. Recently we've connected with like the #1 producing team in our MLS.
Yeah.
And they do over 150, 175 million, right? Quite a bit more than us.
Yeah.
But we're modeling the structure. We get on, into who they're coaching with. They start making referral connections. And I say, don't forget, we're not a $150 million team, right? So some of their coaches and their masterminds that are all over the world.
Yeah.
But if they didn't see the potential in me, and what he specifically said is like, you have fire in your belly. And if he didn't see that, if I didn't have that, I wouldn't have the courage to go out there and get it. Yeah. And we just kind of take what they're doing and we run with it. But in a way, another principle that we add along the way is that great retrace, or asking for the advice, getting them vested in our success, and then replaying that back to them so they understand that this is not for naught, but this guy's really an implementer, and we are really out there and we mean business. That's why I have the courage to ask.
So I have to say, so here's what everybody needs to understand is strong is humble. Strong is humble. So you approach the top producer with humility, but you were strong enough to do the approach. And you were strong enough to approach in a way that, this is somebody that's even in your own market, which is sometimes the most difficult place to humble yourself to go and learn from. And so you went in from this place of humility and learning. Learning is super attractive. Learners are super attractive. Knowers are not attractive. People who know and they know everything are repulsive, honestly. So it's like learning is attractive. So, but the thing is, you didn't go there and tell them how smart you were. But I've seen that in one-on-ones, and it's like, well, here's how smart I am. And it's like, no, shut up, right? Ask questions and interview them as a learner would. But you didn't stop there. I love how you put the two together. This is a two-piece approach that you're talking about here is approach the strong from a place of humility and interview them. And then after the interview, you follow up taking their advice. So if somebody says persistence is really important, and you have an instance in your life where persistence came through and you made it happen, you're going to follow up with all the people who had told you that persistence was important and thank them for getting this new piece of business or this relationship with the developer. And you're going to part of your follow-up is appreciation for their advice. Well, what are they going to do? They're going to give you more advice, but they're also going to refer the living heck out of you. So I love that. And that's something we can all implement very quickly. And I'll be honest we have people that are not real estate related that listen to this podcast. We're in many, many countries at this point, but this is a strategy. This is a strategy that anyone can implement. Learn, ask for their advice, ask for ask for their knowledge and wisdom, and then appreciate their knowledge and wisdom, act on their appreciation and wisdom, and then update them when their appreciation and wisdom change your life. And listen, we could end the podcast. That's such a powerful, like that is in a nutshell, that was my philosophy and why I soared so quickly in Kansas City is, I still am in many ways, very much a novice and a learner and a very curious and I'm learning from everyone. And that there's an attraction to that, So I love that. So and what happens is when you meet with these strong people, you start to do those things that those strong people do. But you report back, and you know who reports back? Strong people. So it's one of those, that's a powerful 1-2 punch.
Working by referral is not some fairy tale world. It's real. I've seen it. And you can too. Invest in yourself by learning how to run your business by referral at Michael's upcoming live event. It will be a day filled with hands-on, how-to, low to no-cost strategies that you can implement in your business right away. Learn how to run a business by referral that not only feeds your family, but feeds your soul. Go to www.gengenevents.com today. That's www.gengenevents.com.
You know, what are the results been? Kind of what's been, you know, how's your productivity up, and kind of what's the difference between 16 when you listened to the podcast and started implementing one of the little strategies I talked about with Toby, and that's the thing I want to also say before you answer that question is, with the 7L system, you don't need to know it all. You don't need to know the entire 7L system. In fact, it would probably blow your brain up, you know, because I've been working on this for 50 years. So but you know what? With one strategy you learn from Referrals Podcast, you can go anywhere you want in your business, in life. So kudos on that. So what have been the results been since 2016 to 2019?
Yeah. So 2016, we were just kind of figuring it out, you know?
You notice who answered? The numbers girl answered, right? It was like, all right, the results, the numbers, that's got to be Rachel. So perfect. I love that.
We know who to cue on which question and by our strengths. So that's me. Yeah. So 2016, we were kind of figuring it out. It was just Jonathan and myself. We hired an admin right away. That year we did about, was it 53 transactions.
Yeah.
You know, we started to build a team, kind of dropped that down and rebuilt it again. 2017, close a business. What do we do? 73 transactions.
Yeah.
And
Still
then
solid growth, by the way.
Pretty solid growth. That was about 30%. And then going into where we are today, from 73 transactions to about 129 is where we're at with closed and pending. So that's about 50 to 60% growth from last year.
So this is 2019?
Yeah. So 2016 to 2017, 2017 to 2018, 2018
there we go. Okay. So you did 53 up through 17, and then you did 73 up through 18, and then you're up, and you've done 129 so far with a couple of months left.
About a week to write business for 2019.
Yeah. Okay. So kudos and congrats. First of all, what you've actually done is you've almost done exactly what you did the last 2 years in 1 year of business. So that's fantastic. And what percentage of that would you say is referral?
So 70% comes from our database and Sphere.
Yeah.
Past clients, repeat clients, those things.
And so what are you doing intentionally to drive your referrals up?
So
what are you doing to orchestrate referrals? People think that referrals happen by accident. You and I both know they don't. You know, you have to do something. You can orchestrate referrals to happen. Like what are you guys doing to do that?
Yeah. Do you want to?
You take that and I'll tie it back.
So we really focus on database. When it comes to lead generation, database is always first.
Yeah.
And that's our people. We always think of how we can add value. And some of that's diversified touches. So we're always watching the market. Now is a big refi market. So we're going back to our clients from 2016, 2017, and even 2018 and adding some value pieces and asking for introductions along the way. So really it's adding value to our people. And every time that we add value to our people, they want to reciprocate because we've brought something to them that they appreciate. And we ask for the additional business. We really ask for introductions instead of referrals.
That's right.
That's just a better word, I guess, to use. And we want to know who they know. You know, we make sure that we really invest in educating them, sharing the success of their story. You know, this is their life goal sometimes is to buy their first house. Maybe they just got married or they're having a kid, and it's so emotional to them. So we really shine the light on them. It's not about Rachel Alley, Jonathan Tomko, Millennium Group, how awesome we are, how great we are at real estate. It's really about how our people give us the opportunity to be successful and help them. And that's the story that we share with our community.
Love that. And so our download for today is an invitation sequence that you guys have created for events. And you've done quite a bit with events. Like what events have you guys done over the years to invite and attract your tribe to come out and hang out with you? What are some of the?
Our sequence right now is really, we do 2 a year. We do more of a summer kickoff, which tends to be like a happy hour, usually at a bar, restaurant, drinks, beverages, things like that. It's a little bit more adult focused.
Yeah.
But it's just fun because everybody's excited about the season. Everybody wants to come out. I grew up out at Buckeye Lake, so we've done it out there, sit by the water. It's a great time. And then in the winter, December, we always do a movie event.
Okay.
So it's usually
family oriented.
Yeah, more family friendly. The kids can come. It's good for everyone of all ages. And we pack the theater with all of our people. So.
I love that. And so when people hold events, we've talked. I mean, that's the beauty of the 7L system. I feel like we have the great system for the one-on-one, which I've hopefully modeled for people during this. And then also we have this great, sequence of strategies for the one-to-many approach with the events and the smaller events and the smaller gatherings. And so people are afraid when they do that nobody's going to show up. So when was your first summer happy hour? And how has your invitation sequence kind of grown since that one? So what year did you first do your summer happy hour movie event and this kind of thing? And then what did you do to make sure you had people at these events?
Yeah. So we started our first event in summer of 2017, going into that summer.
Okay.
It was our first event, so we didn't have a lot to kind of build off of. We were just kind of figuring it out.
Yeah.
Our business wasn't as big as it is now, so obviously the attendance was lower. But it's just those multiple touches. So, and we worked that system season over season for all.
Let me ask you that real quick, Rachel, on that. So what do you think you did to drive attendance in 17? Like your invitation sequence has come a long way in 2 years. So what do you think, like, can you remember back to that? Because it's not too far back, but it's like, can you remember like what you did to invite people to that event?
So yes, I remember we sent out a mailed invite.
Yeah.
And I called and invited those people to come.
So it was card plus call. That's it. Just so everybody knows, that is a perfectly legit invitation sequence. It really is. The key there is the call, just throwing it out there. Any invitation sequence has to include phone calls. It has to. You're like, well, I'm a millennial. Well, good for you. You should call too. It'd be a surprise for everybody. So here's the thing, is the card plus call, very, very powerful. And I will tell you that if people do a movie event with a really powerful movie, then they can do almost card, email, call, and that's all they'll have to do. So I love that you did card, call. And then you did in the winter of 17, did you do a movie?
No, so that was the only event we did that year.
All right. So 18, you did the summer party. Mm-hmm. And did you change anything with the invitation sequence?
So it's kind of hard to remember how we chunked it out along the way. Really, now we've started to incorporate, now we have Facebook event.
Yep.
And we friend all of our past clients on our social media outlets. So now we're inviting everybody to Facebook.
There we go.
And to that event and posting updates and things like that as well.
So card plus Facebook outreach plus call. Mm-hmm. And how did attendance go?
Good. Increased.
Yeah. And then you did the movie event in the winter of 18. And what did you do as far as invitation sequence on that? What movie did you do?
So last year we did.
I know I'm just hammering you questions left and right, but it's like, I want to know. Give it to me. So good.
We did Fantastic Beasts. So it was like that Harry Potter spinoff. That's a big following. A lot of people love that.
Yeah.
A lot of good movies come out that time of year. So. Yeah.
Did you find that you didn't have to do a lot to invite them to Fantastic Beasts?
We just followed the system.
Yeah.
So I don't really know the answer to that because we just copied what we had done before and followed our system.
All right. And then in 19, now what's your invitation sequence look like for your summer event?
So we use the 2 events a year to really be able to touch our people.
Yeah.
Because it's an opportunity to call our database, to call our sphere, to call our past clients, not only just to invite them to the event, but ask them how they're doing. So now we're incorporating phone calls before the event, letting them know the save the date's coming out. The save the date goes out. The Facebook event gets put together. The Eventbrite link gets put together. Now we have an email sequence that goes out about once a week in order to, capture attendance and attention of people. The actual physical invite post save the date now goes out.
So you do have a save the date and an invite, or just a save the date?
Save the date and an invite.
Yeah, geez, love that. So how long before the event does the card go out, the save the date card?
Usually that's about 5 weeks before the event.
Yeah. Okay. So save the date card goes out. You've got an email, you've got Eventbrite that you're using, and you're using the private side of Eventbrite. You don't want people that you don't know, strangers walking in. That's a clue for everybody listening to this. And then the invite goes out when? The physical invite?
About 3 weeks prior.
Okay.
It'll hit their mailbox about 3 weeks
And
before.
you've got this all written down, yeah?
Yeah.
And you're going to give it to everybody?
Yep.
What? Yeah. Okay, sorry. So that's awesome.
They just have to go do it.
And you're doing multiple calls now. And you're finding that if you do a call early, you can kind of catch up. And then the next one is just invitation confirmation. There's not a lot to talk about. That's the thing about people that with database that people think about is that it's going to take forever. Yep. First call does take longer because you haven't talked in a while. But once you talk to them, the update calls can be very, very short, can be very, very sweet.
You can utilize text. So yesterday, for example, we have an event coming up in December, and that's our movie event. So yesterday, the whole team gets together and we spend 2 hours, and we have our RSVP list with our invite list. And now we're comparing the two. We're confirming with the RSVP list saying, hey, I'm so excited that you guys registered. This is probably a text. We are excited to see you. Hope you have a great Thanksgiving holiday, right? Yeah. So that's a confirmation that they're coming. Now we know who the gaps are of who's not coming. So then
when are you doing that? So you're doing a call day. And so what time are you doing that?
That was morning, 9 to 11. Morning, 9 to 11.
Okay. So you're doing it in the morning, you're doing your call night, more of a call day. Yeah. Yep. And then are you doing anything to make that more fun or anything else? Or are you just like, here's the list of people and you call them?
I think it's fun because we know them.
Yeah.
So we don't really need to jazz it up a little bit more than that.
Yeah. So no call day bingo. Episode 39 was Emily Carew, and she has a whiteboard, she has a scoreboard, and it's just like she's got wine coming in, which 9 to 11 a.m. probably not a good idea, but she's got all these things going on to make it fun, and that's one of the things that she has discovered over time is like the first one she had to do that to get them there, to get her agents there, her team there, but now they don't have to do that as much. They just have like a bingo card that says, reach out to this person and, get a confirmation, and they play like a bingo game. But there's not like all the other bells and whistles that you need. But I have to tell you, one of the cool things is when you get an invitation that turns into an RSVP confirmation is like ring a bell or have some type of like thing that indicates, hey, we got one, right? We got somebody coming in. When you get a referral, you can ring the bell twice or something like that. So, there's ways to make those fun. So you have what movie are you showing in December?
So we are
going to be asked, so I better know.
Yeah, we're doing Frozen 2. Very family excited movie.
Yeah, let it go. Let it go. I'm just saying.
Again, let it go again.
So, yeah. I have a niece who literally sang that song 5,000. She knows every word, like every action. And so I definitely learned that song very well. And then, so how many referrals do you think you're getting at these events?
So we don't pull referrals at the event.
Yeah.
The reason we do our event usually the first weekend of December is very strategic. So we know that our RSVPs, our initial calls are made before the Thanksgiving holiday. Why? Right. Because they're spending time with their friends and family and they're having life conversations. How have you been? What's your life like? All those things. So we touch them before Thanksgiving. We have the event in the middle of December, beginning of December. They go to Christmas. or their holiday of choice, and they do the same thing. And then we touch them at the beginning of the year and we thank them for coming. It was great to see them. Is there anybody that you know? So it's all very strategic as to how we put it all together.
Yeah, and what's great about it being strategic, it's strategic on your end, but on the consumer end, it's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, it's even if they knew you were doing the strategy, they'd be going, you mean I get a free movie out of the deal? I'm in. So I think that's the thing that people need to know is, yeah, it is strategic. Here's what we're doing. We're strategizing how to make people feel awesome. That is the 7L system in a nutshell. Instead of strategizing on how to make people feel awkward, we're going to strategize on how to make people feel awesome. And that's our entire business model in a nutshell. So Jonathan, you wanted to add to the conversation around results and doing these 2 events a year. And you know, what have you seen as far as, besides the growth of business, what else have you seen from this that you've really enjoyed?
So I made a quick note when you had asked the question, and what I wrote down was hang out, because what you said was, how do you get, or these people they want to come and hang out with you? Yeah. And that to me is the X factor, right? Because they all show up because they like Rachel, not because she's a real estate agent.
That's right.
Right? They show up because they got connected to our admin. We sent them, a gift on their birthday. They want to meet the rest of our team, right? Mm-hmm. They want to know who is behind the scenes communicating contract through close. They had a great experience in business, which if you have a great experience in business, usually that means that, those people are probably okay outside of business too. And so when you do something like this, that is a thank you or it's a highlight, it's very little about business, but they want to come and hang out with you.
Right.
So to me, when you communicate that's important. And that's why I think we really don't ask, like nobody wants to spend the holidays with their realtor, but right. But we're not realtors until they need us.
Right.
Real estate.
That's right. We're a realtor, we're a realtor this part of the day, this, maybe this part of the day, but this part of their life, when they need us to be a realtor, we can be the best realtor in the world. The rest of the time, we're going to be the best friend in the world.
And that is important too. And that I think is how you grow bigger personally as a byproduct of adopting the system, because now you're intentionally doing a power note to compliment somebody on something that you noticed in them that maybe you want to work on for yourself, or because, you do truly value the conversations, or back to the example on persistence. You follow up them and you tell them. And then it's very little about real estate until that's a genuine need. Yeah. But if they trust you with so many other areas of their life, or if you are a resource, or if you come to them for advice, you're building a relationship, tried and true. That's what you're doing.
That's right. And what is a relationship? A relationship is nothing but a value exchange. That's all it is. So if you are just a realtor, then you only have value a certain part of your time in that relationship. But if you are a friend, especially a generous friend, then you are providing value, as you should be, all the time. And the value exchange is that you provide this value of being the trusted advisor, the events, the being there to connect them to other people, and their value exchange is referrals. That's how they add value to you. You add value to them with these other, making life more livable. And that's usually the problem with realtors in general, is they only provide value for 45 days at a time, and then the relationship is over. But what we have discovered with the 7L system, what we're doing is that it's a value exchange. We need to be providing value all year round. And one really cool thing about your invitation sequence as a download is the invitation is a value. Inviting someone to something has value. You're saying you're special. I want to include you. I want you inside my circle. Even if they say no, even if they don't ever respond, you have provided value to them with the simple thing, the communication of an invitation, not just the regular communication. Not everybody cares about market reports or refis or anything like that. But when you invite them, there is a power to the invitation. There is, you are saying, I want you in my circle. You belong to this community, and anything you need for help, let us know, and there is a huge value to that. So kudos to you for implementing it at such a high level. I have to tell you, normally I'd say, and that's our show, but I have some other questions. You mind if I ask these real quick? And the thing is we did not rehearse any of this, so I don't want anybody to think that I'm reading from a list of questions. But we have Jonathan Tomko and Rachel Alley here from Columbus, Ohio Realtors. Their spouse is selling houses. You got to connect them if you have referrals in the Columbus, Ohio area, which, by the way, I heard recently is one of the hippest cities in the world. So if you're hip and you need help, you need to go to these two. I'm going to ask you some questions on the movie event because it's fresh and it's coming up. Is number one, what time is the movie?
1 o'clock.
1 p.m. And it goes till about 2:30, yeah?
2:33.
All right. What time are you going to have them get there?
They usually get there about 12:15 to 12:30.
Okay. And do you tell people, like, what does the invite say? Do you say that the movie is 1 to 3 or movie starts at 1? Or do you have some type of devices that are getting them earlier?
So the invite is set for a half hour before the show starts.
Okay. So now here's the thing. Are you guys coachable at all? I mean,
all the time.
Gentle, right? But here's the thing. My suggestion, part of the power of a movie, it's very attractive. It's an attraction. The problem with a movie is you go into a dark room for an hour and a half and then you leave, right? So you miss out on some of the power of an event, which is this mingling, connection, connectivity, feeling part of something, feeling part of a community. They just go to a movie. Like when they go to a movie normally, they go to a movie, they don't talk to the people around them and they leave. We want to create a different culture around this movie, and that's the culture of a community. It's the Tomko and Alley community. You guys are the leaders of this community. So something to maybe think about is getting them there. So a friendly call in the next week or so where you're going to say, make sure you're there by 12:30. Make sure, get people there by 12:30. Leave the doors to the theater closed so they can't get in until 12:55. At 12:55, the doors are closed. You can line them up. Do you have a registration table at the event?
Yes.
Okay. Yay. Right. So half the battle's already won. So they come to the registration table. You can give them a number as they come. So if they get there at 12:31, they're like, I really want to be first. I really want to pick my seat, And so you line them up at the door. You open the doors at 12:55, and there's all this energy in the hall. You open the doors, all the energy goes into the movie. You go up to the front, and you just say thank you, right? And just let them know that, hey, listen, the reason we can do these events is because of your referrals. We don't spend money on marketing, advertising, promotion, buying leads because we don't have to. Why? Because of you and because of your referrals. We just wanted to say thank you very much for being here. Thank you for this year. And, we've got Frozen 2 for you. Enjoy the movie with you and your family, and hopefully we'll chat with you afterwards. And so you have a chance to say something. And then when they leave, hopefully maybe a future thing is what is something that could make them mingle a little bit afterwards, because we have this equation in the system that's like plus like equals 2 loves. Like plus like equals somebody that likes you, meet somebody that likes you who doesn't know you. They meet each other. They both brag on you because you're the reason they came together. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, like you like them too? Yeah, I like them too. And then they walk away and they both love you. And they're more empowered and emboldened to refer you more because they connected at your event. So connectivity is a big part of the success of the event.
That's so fun because we've literally watched some of our clients come to these events and connect with each other and build relationships. And then when we do those follow-up calls and say, hey, thanks for coming, hope you had a great time, they're like, oh, I met so-and-so. Do you have their contact information? I'd love to reach out to them. Like that's so cool.
And here's the thing. Eventually, you won't even have to use the movie. You won't even need a movie. What will happen is they come to be with their friends that they met in your community. And that's the power of this is the connectivity eventually becomes the superpower that brings them together versus the attractions. A connectivity in itself is a major league attraction.
So one quick note on what you just said about how that neutral or that, that that person can bring two people together. In my world, oftentimes a referral is not a direct client.
That's right.
You know how many people that we bring on or we hire or that work with us that are through mutual. That's where I start. I use my database for everything. When my mom has a rental property in Youngstown, Ohio, it doesn't go on Zillow. Like, we're going through the channels, right? Yeah. Because again, I'm here for more. I need you for more than a contract. Who am I, right? I need your help. Yeah. And so that makes people feel great that they have a real vested interest in where you're going. And that's life-changing. That is a formula that you could duplicate if you had a hot dog wagon or if you're doing real estate. No matter what it is, same principles will apply.
That's right. I love that. We could probably go on and on this, but we'll have to have you back on again down in the future after your movie event, after your summer event. We can talk about how that's even grown and blown up from there. But I just want to say, you have edified me quite a bit during this podcast, Jonathan, especially you, and it's one of those where it's like. I might deserve a little credit for idea and being on the podcast. And Toby definitely deserves some credit for having the podcast and having me as a guest. But the credit goes to you two, because you have implemented and worked hard. And it's hard work to become a better person to work with strong people. But the two of you are stronger for it. And you've got this burgeoning, beautiful business that you're growing together, and I just want to let you know that that's what this is all about. It's all about this attraction-based, this event-based business that allows us to show people who we really are, and that's what you are doing. You've just created a bigger platform to achieve your dreams and help others achieve their dreams, and that's what you've done. So. I just have to say kudos and congrats and thank you so much for being on here today.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
It's a lot of fun, man. A lot of fun.
Awesome. Yeah. Jonathan Tomko, Rachel Alley from Columbus, Ohio. They're real estate agents in the area. If somebody wanted to reach out with a referral for you two, how would they do that? How would they get a hold of you?
So feel free to reach out to me directly. My email is Rachel, Rachel, Alley, Alley @kw.com.
There you go. It's
Feel free
that
to ask
easy.
Questions, reach out for referrals, whatever you guys need.
Awesome. And their download for this episode is the invitation sequence that they use to get people to their events. Thank you very much for that download, and thank you for being on today.
Thank you.
You're great. Thanks so much.
We appreciate you.